Nigeria is once again buzzing with controversy, outrage, hope, fear, and heated arguments, all sparked by a single decision taken by the Katsina State Government, a decision that many believe could either change the course of insecurity in the northwest or plunge the region into even deeper chaos. At the center of it all is the release of 70 suspected bandits from government custody, a move that has shaken public confidence and ignited intense debates from street corners to social media timelines across the country. This dramatic decision did not come quietly. It followed months of persistent pressure and advocacy by the well-known Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, a man whose name alone is enough to trigger strong emotions on both sides of the national divide. To his supporters, he is a courageous peace broker who understands the roots of violence in northern Nigeria. To his critics, he is a controversial figure who appears far too sympathetic to criminals who have left entire communities traumatized. Now, with these 70 suspects walking free, the question Nigerians are asking are louder than ever: is this the beginning of peace, or a reckless gamble that could backfire in the most devastating way imaginable? Faced with mounting criticism and public anxiety, the Katsina State Government has stepped forward to defend its actions, insisting that the release was neither impulsive nor careless. According to officials, this move is part of a wider peace initiative aimed at finally breaking the relentless cycle of bloodshed, fear, and destruction that has haunted the state for years. They argue that the conventional approach, relying heavily on military operations, has failed to deliver lasting peace, despite massive investments and countless operations. In their view, it was time to try something different, something bold, even if it meant walking a dangerous political tightrope. The government maintains that the 70 individuals were not hardened criminals or notorious kingpins responsible for mass killings or high-profile kidnappings. Instead, they were described as young men who had been swept into banditry by a toxic mix of poverty, illiteracy, unemployment, and the total collapse of security in rural communities. Officials claim many of them were coerced, threatened, or manipulated into joining armed groups, often as a means of survival in areas where the government's presence has long been absent. Keeping them locked up indefinitely without trial, the state argues, would amount to a clear violation of their human rights, especially since concrete evidence linking many of them to specific crimes was lacking. Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has long championed this narrative, repeatedly calling for dialogue over bullets. He has argued time and again that branding all bandits as irredeemable monsters ignores the deeper realities driving the crisis. According to him, years of neglect, injustice, and economic hardship created fertile ground for criminal networks to thrive. In his view, meeting violence with more violence only hardens hearts and fuels endless retaliation, while dialogue and rehabilitation offer a real chance to dismantle these groups from within. His position has sharply divided Nigerians, with some applauding his willingness to seek peace at all costs, while others accuse him of excusing brutality and undermining justice for victims. The Katsina government insists that strict measures were put in place before the release. Officials say thorough profiling and screening were conducted to ensure that those freed were not directly linked to heinous crimes such as murder, mass abductions, or large-scale ransom operations. Many, they claim, were arrested based on suspicion alone during security raids, without sufficient evidence to secure convictions in court. Rather than continue holding them in limbo, the government chose what it describes as a more humane and strategic option, releasing them under a peace agreement with clear conditions. According to the state, the released individuals signed formal undertakings renouncing violence and criminal activity. They were reportedly warned in unmistakable terms that any return to banditry would attract swift and severe consequences. Beyond that, the government revealed plans to enroll them in rehabilitation programs and vocational training, aimed at giving them practical skills to earn a living legitimately. The hope is that by offering a real alternative to crime, the cycle of violence can be broken, and other bandits might be encouraged to surrender their weapons and embrace a different path. But for many Nigerians, these assurances offer little comfort. The reaction from the public has been intense and emotional, driven by years of pain, loss, and betrayal. Families who have lost loved ones to bandit attacks are asking how releasing suspects can ever be justified. Communities that have been repeatedly terrorized fear that this decision sends a dangerous message, that crime pays, and that those who take up arms against innocent citizens may eventually be rewarded with freedom. Security experts have also raised red flags, pointing to previous amnesty and negotiation efforts that ended badly, with some released fighters returning to the forest more violent and emboldened than before. Critics argue that without addressing the deeper structural problems fueling banditry, widespread poverty, joblessness, porous borders, and the unchecked flow of illegal weapons, releasing suspects is little more than a temporary gesture. They warn that peace deals built on weak enforcement and empty promises risk collapsing at the first sign of opportunity, potentially unleashing even more violence on already exhausted communities. Supporters of the initiative, however, counter these arguments by pointing to the grim reality on the ground. Years of non-stop military operations have not stopped the killings, kidnappings, and mass displacement of people. Entire villages have been emptied, schools shut down, farmlands abandoned, and local economies destroyed. From this perspective, continuing down the same path while expecting different results makes little sense. They believe that if even a fraction of these released individuals genuinely reform, it could create a ripple effect, encouraging others to lay down their arms and choose peace over bloodshed. The timing of this release has only intensified the debate. It comes at a moment when bandit attacks and kidnappings are reaching alarming levels across northwestern Nigeria. In recent weeks alone, reports have surfaced of deadly raids on rural communities, cattle rustling operations, and ransom demands that many families simply cannot afford. The growing insecurity has triggered a humanitarian crisis, forcing thousands to flee their homes and deepening the region's already severe economic hardship. Against this backdrop, the decision to free 70 suspected bandits feels, to many observers, either like an act of desperation or a calculated risk taken by a government running out of options. The Katsina State Government has revealed that this release is just one piece of a much broader strategy. Officials say they are intensifying engagement with traditional rulers, community leaders, youth groups, and even active bandit factions, hoping to create multiple channels for dialogue and disarmament. The belief is that peace cannot be imposed by force alone but must be negotiated, nurtured, and sustained through trust building and economic opportunity. As Nigeria watches closely, this story forces the nation to confront uncomfortable questions about justice, security, and the true cost of peace. Can forgiveness and rehabilitation succeed where bullets have failed? Or does this approach risk sacrificing justice and public safety in the name of fragile negotiations? Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe releasing suspected bandits is a courageous step toward lasting peace, or a dangerous mistake that could haunt the country for years to come? Drop your thoughts in the comments section and join the conversation. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you stay informed on the critical issues shaping Nigeria's future.